Who are humans? And why do humans behave the way they do? I think one of the frustrations we have in life is when we live with people we don't understand why they behave the way they do. Sometimes we have judged people without analyzing why they act the way they do. Why are some of us reserved while others are outspoken? When people come and get married, we talk about love and thinking about being happy hereafter. But when you settle down, you realize there are certain characteristics, there are certain mannerisms that don't add up. And people get frustrated because they can't make of this person they are living with. And there are many people when they come to us as marriage counselors, come wondering what went wrong. There's nothing that went wrong. The problem is that you did not understand this person. At a place of work, there are people that are untenable. You can't withstand certain people. And some are just as good as for your eyes only. Others you want to keep at a distance because you can't stay a minute with them. And then there are those that you get attracted and you feel like you can stay day long with them. So who are humans? I am a teacher of anthropology for the last getting to 18 years. And I love talking about people. And I take care of people as a pastor. And I want to have a series of understanding humans. And hopefully, this series will help you cope or understand the people you live with. And so this will serve as an introduction. Are four components I deal with, or maybe I may reduce to three ways in understanding a human being. Number one, we are a product of genetics. I am chocolate or I'm dark because my parents happen to be dark or chocolate. I am tall, my size, certain traits I inherited. And there is nothing I can do about that. It is what it is. That's who I am. And I can do very little to change that. But also, in having that genetic inheritance, and you can borrow from people like Mendelian, who has Mendelian inheritance principles. I will tell you the chance of you getting this from mom or that from dad. We also have people who are who they are because of mutation. As a result of DNA, an error that take place in the DNA replication. Because when we are being formed, there's that DNA that is passed from parents, but there could be some error. Oh, yes. There are people who are an error. They are like mistakes that happened in the DNA combination. And the others because of environment. And they are who they are because of certain inherited traits. One, not necessarily from the parents, but as I have said, from mutation. And therefore, it is very important to understand where somebody is coming from. Have you ever heard of you having a trait that is found down the bloodline in your family? Have you ever heard somebody saying your mannerism or your behavior is like that of your uncle on the side of mom or dad? Yes, we have certain traits that we have inherited. And therefore, understand me that way. Number two, and we will elaborate this further maybe in a second episode. Number two, we are not only biological products, but we are also a product of environment. An environment dictates a lot who we are, what we eat, the medicine we take, the air we breathe, and general ecology will have a lot to do with who we become. Have you ever heard of certain people who behave in a certain way because of things they have eaten over the years or decades? And there are people whose body appearance has everything to do with the environment. In anthropology, we talk about those ethnicities where certain behavior, certain norms are dictated by the world in which we live in. And that's why sometimes when we marry people, we ask these questions. Who is your family? Where did you grow up? What is it that is known in your village? And it will be interesting to know, for those of us who come from Kenya, there are certain ethnicity that we could not marry from. There are certain groups that could not match with other groups. It's because people understood about their backgrounds. Third, we have the nurture part of it. What did you learn? What was your behavior? What was tolerated in your family? What were the norms? What were the values? So when you sit or stay with somebody who talks in a certain way, and that person may act like he's rude in their way of communicating, before you condemn them, before you tell them that they are bad manners, find out how they grew. For example, in this country, you find that there are families where cursing is normal language. They would say certain words where you would be like, what did you just say? When I came to this country, I think our children, our son, one day would say, hey, why did that person do that stupid thing? That was very stupid of that person doing that. And for me, stupid, the word stupid, when I think about it back home, it had to do with insult. The teachers would call us, come here, you are stupid. And that almost meant you're dumb, you're not thinking. But here, they use that word not on that weight, it's just stupid, doesn't make sense, and they're not insulting. So how did you grow up? What was acceptable in your upbringing? And therefore, these are some of the things I would like us to be talking about to understand human beings. Because the minute we understand the people we live with, there are people who are just, they're just lunatic. There are people who are just crazy. There are people you are like, I cannot live with you. And you feel like you want to go. The way they talk, the way they express themselves, the way they act, the way they respond to situations, you are like, who on earth created you? Who was your mother? Who was your dad? What school did you go to? What did you learn? And that's why you find people from different parts of the world, they are known as radical, soft people, industrious, passive, active, energetic, rigorous, combative. Things that they learned as they grew up. The minute you understand people, you can even live with the devil, in quotes. And therefore, I intend to interrogate who a human being is so that we can understand and appreciate the diversity, the people that are around us. And as we go through this series, I want you to be fair to yourself. Ask yourself, who are you? What makes you you? What is the hard drive that is in you? Because at the end of the day, we're going to ask ourselves this question. Is there a way we can change our personality? Because the fourth part has to do with the principles that we live or we learn in our life. You have the DNA, you have your nature, and the peer pressure because also your environment shapes you. But you become a Christian or you become this person who has adapted to certain ideological ideals. And those principles that you acquire over time, they become your principle. They become part of your DNA. And therefore, you say this, I know in my culture, we are very aggressive, we are very combative, we are very talkative, we are very loud, knowing that. What does my faith teach me about being polite, being patient, and not being combative? Can faith shape our trait? Can faith shape our morality? Because morality is cultural, it's contextual. And therefore, at the end of our talk, I want to make a case that your principle, your belief, your faith should shape how you live. And that is why in Christianity we say love conquers all. Because where there is love, there is patience, there is understanding, there is all those good things. But it's important to understand human beings, nationalities, ethnicities, people of different races, people of different age groups. And when you know that, then you will be at ease with the world and the people that are around you. I want to finish this by giving an example of what the DNA we have and how environment can trigger that trait that could be recessive. Those things that are dominant is obvious. But to all of us have genes, some that are dominant and others are recessive. Recessive means it's hidden. For example, your dad may be light-colored and your mother may be dark. And you may have come as a dark-colored person, but your dad's gene of light color may be hidden, recessive, but he'll come later in life. There are certain traits that are hidden, and it requires an environment to trigger it so that it may show out. Just like our faith comes to bring the good that is in us. I always ask this question to my class at Kennesaw State University, where we teach anthropology. It's a very practical example. Our son is Michael. Michael is about 6'3" feet. He's a tall guy. Michael, tall as he is, the question is there a possibility that if Michael stayed in Kenya, Africa, could not have been as tall? Has American food, has American environment made Michael, our son, tall? Is there a possibility that Michael would have been relatively tall, maybe like me, 5'9", and not go beyond there? The answer is yes. I know you'll be quick to ask, what? Are you telling me the Kenyan environment is any different? It is different because the environment involves the food we eat. And what we eat may come and trigger something in us that we are not aware about. Now watch this. I want you to get me right. You may have two boys. Michael came to America when he was 1 year old. If Michael came to America with another boy, they eat the same food, live in the same family, most likely Michael would get tall and the other boy may remain short, so that America may make Michael tall and the other one, little boy, stay just short. So what's going on here? The protein, the exercise, and all that Michael eats here goes to his body and triggers the gene of tallness that is in him. And therefore, it is not that America makes Michael tall necessarily, but what he consumes may go and trigger a gene that is there, which may not be triggered by the eating habits in Kenya. But the other boy may not be as tall because he does not have a gene that can be triggered. He does not have a gene of being tall in him. And therefore, what this says is that the environment has a lot to do with who we are and what we become. And so what does that mean? The environment that you live in, my friend, will shape you. Haven't you seen people changing because of the people around them? Because when you are around people who think in a certain way, who behave in a certain way, you become like them. When Paul went to persecute Christians on his way to Damascus, he borrowed permission to go and persecute the people of the way. Of the way. They were called people of the way before they were even called Christians. They walked in a certain way. They adapted a certain way. And therefore, all of us become human because we are shaped by the surroundings. So people around you may influence you a great deal. So when you see people behaving in a certain way, ask yourself, what is it that they're eating? What is it that they are consuming? What are they listening to? So next time you see a lot of curses, find out who is influencing this person to change that language that is vulgar. So who are humans? In conclusion, we are genetic products. But it could also be as a result of error or division of error when you are being made and DNA replication. It could be the environment. But we have finished by saying this. There is a superlative effect. When you have faith, certain principle, a certain environment can trigger the good in you. Next time we meet, we'll talk about those recessive, the hidden you, and what is it that can provoke it so that, like Michael, you can get whole. And maybe you have that gene that has been suppressed, and all it needs is a trigger so that you can come out as you are created. Go and being the adjusted so that you can go to the factory setup. I'm excited about this, understanding humans. Until next time, hope to see you in part 2 of what it means to be human.